They file complaints on Connie. They put her under gag orders. They tell everybody she's a terrible attorney. You know, the bar will not step up, and that's the problem. Because we're a self-policing organization. And the parent council would represent you indigent parents, right? There's 60 of them. And our legislature appropriates about 10% from your lawyers, as they do for the ad litems and the OCC or the DHS lawyers. They get $29.5 million for their program, and your lawyers, our lawyers, get $2.5 million. CASA gets $1.5 million, and they're volunteers.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So we're only worth, well, they're worth only 30%. I'm terrible at math. 30% less, and they're volunteers with great intentions, but I mean, they don't have a law license, they don't practice law, they can't represent you, right? So our legislature thinks that it's more important to have two advocates, because we've already got the ad litem advocating and another CASA than it is for us to have as parents and the accused one competent lawyer. That's res ipsa loquitur, we like to talk about, or speak in Latin, because I think it makes us look smart. That means it speaks for itself, res ipsa loquitur. If they're giving 10% for your lawyer, then they're giving for the government's lawyer. You know, who's going to win that fight? We can't even subpoena a lay witness from parents. That's $35. So there's no expenses. Your lawyer is going to make $800 for that case. That's the average they say out. Now, if they work the case, they wouldn't make minimum wage. Okay? But they can't work the case because they don't have any expenses. Can't take a deposition unless they pay for it. That doesn't happen, and it's not ever going to happen. So for our government to take that in action or purposely give you 10% that they're giving the other side, I don't know what to do about it. We keep voting them in, you know, and I think it's a lot of times because we don't have any choice. Party systems, you know, parties suck in my opinion. Loyalty to anybody other than the people and the constituents, I think is misplaced. But you can't vote them all, right? The judges, I don't know what it's going to take to bring them together. I didn't want to come up here because I was going to be negative, okay? And now I'm negative. But I think until they beat you down enough, you're not going to get a reaction. Okay? There are thousands of them, and they should be here. But they've got lives. And I don't know what it's going to take. Keep praying, maybe that'll help. But the good news is that the federal case is alive. I think if the federal court allowed us to petition for meaningful redress, damages. You know, you've damaged my family. I'm trying to put it together. I've got a little boy in Fort Smith right now, and the father was charged again with a felony. You know, so y'all know about that. And in the same thing, and that's Fort Smith, because there was a bruise on the little boy's body. And he was abused as a young boy, the mother was a drug addict. This was a father that went to domestic court and spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get custody of this little boy, to protect him. And he didn't agree with some things. He didn't want to drug the little boy. The boy could not cope and go to regular classes. He got sideways with the school about how he should be educated and his treatment, and the next thing you know, his 6th hotline call came in. So he had endured and survived 5 other maltreatment investigations. But on this 6th one, the school got him this time because there was a bruise on the boy. In Garland County, same time frame, there's a principal of the Cutter Morning Star School that's paddling kids. And 2 of the children were bruised. One was a 9-year-old little girl, also special needs, 505 student, that wrote a bad word on a paper that she had heard somebody say. So she got paddled and she was bruised. It turned my stomach. They beat my ass in school every day and I deserved it. I don't think I ever remember a bruise. Okay? And when I saw this on the bottom, then I saw the pictures of the other little boy that the same principal had done. And when I compared those to the one where the father hadn't got to talk to his child in a year, facing a felony, it was night and day. You know, but guess what? Department of Human Services and the state police went to Cutter Morning Star, where their stakeholder was there, the woman that gives them access to your children and won't tell you. By law, they can't tell you. Sometimes kids bruise when you spank them. That was their answer there. Okay? So, it's arbitrary, it's capricious, it allows way too much abuse. And I can tell you firsthand, because I've FOIA documents recently, that they don't investigate when they hear complaints against their people. Okay? I can't abide that. I can't give them credit for something that they've done well when they're doing that. Okay? When you got dangerous people that are violating your civil rights just because we can't do anything about it, to turn a blind eye and let that hit their own fine. You know, those aren't the people that should be in power. And for that, I blame them. Because they serve at his pleasure. Reports have come out that don't have good news for the department. Okay? You're taking kids you shouldn't take. You're acting like police and not social workers. You're putting unrealistic case plans in front of parents so that you can say they failed whenever you want to. That's the arbitrary capriciousness. That's what Senator Clark and I have been telling them for 2 years. And then when that report came out, would the governor say, well, they said potentially before they said it shouldn't be removed. So he disregards that, even though they paid him $5.2 million that year as a consultant. Until they take action, and when they find somebody that's done somebody wrong, and make that head roll, and then say, I'm sorry that I messed up, shouldn't have taken your family. So we're going to try to make it right, and then we're not going to do this again, right? Nobody in this administration has done that. Nobody in this administration is going to do that. So, until we have some federal judges say, you knew that they had a right to raise their family, that was very clearly established, and she knew that by lying and fabricating evidence and saying she had a headache and a sore throat and her lips tingling when she knew she didn't, you're going to pay for that. You're going to help this family so they can get back together. Until that happens, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times, like we did in LA County and Orange County for Sean, $9–10 million. He offered to settle the first case for $500,000. They said no. 10 years later, they had to write him a check for nearly $10 million. And most of that's attorney's fees. Sean settled another one a couple months ago in LA County, $6 million. But what you don't hear is that there were 8 other lawyers on that, and they worked 9,000 hours on it. Okay? 40-hour week is 2,000 hours for one worker. So if I only work 40 hours a week, you know, again, I'm counting on my finger. I can't. How many cases like that can I do? Nobody else is bringing these cases. Why? Because they have immunity. Okay? Our Supreme Court has just said if you're a state actor or you're operating under color law in a state agency, you have absolute immunity. The state shall never be made a defendant in her own courts. Well, you know what that did in one simple case, the Andrews case? That wiped out the Arkansas Civil Rights Act. That wiped out the Fair Labor Standards Act. Minimum wage is what it was brought on. I mean, instantly, those are gone. You have no remedies.